time this time, but we're going to go through. So first I'm going to cover what went wrong, the missing byte in the last stream, and then we're going to get some transactions prepared to get them hashed so that they can be signed, and then maybe get one signed. We'll see. So, the room's a bit echoey today too, so noted. Nothing I can do about it. Okay. Oh, this is what we're going to go back to. Okay, so the missing byte for the output was that I calculated the SIG size right here. This is just the diff. And then I had forgotten to add the SIG size to the first part of the SIG script. Because there's a few different sizes. The key size, the SIG size, and the SIG script size. Probably you don't know, just write that down as missing byte. So now if I run the test, you can see true. And outputs the value generated, which matches the expected. That's why it's true. And then the same thing there. So at least as far as single input, single output, that we had a reference for from that forum where somebody was going through the commands and printing out what they got. So in as much as that is correct for the Dash network, we also have this transaction, because that was for Bitcoin, and we also have this transaction correct for the Dash network. So with that little overview said, and before we really get started, let's pop it out, my friends, and open focus. Mountain Dew in the morning. Some Mother Nature's orange juice. So, from there, we need to have our hash route TX with hash, SIG hash type. Have that function. So what we're doing right now, the two important functions we're exporting are create raw, which I think we're going to rename to create unsigned, because it's I don't know that create raw really does it justice. And we're going to have create signed. We're not going to have a create function because that's confusing. It actually is two different binary formats. So it's not like that's the other thing, is that when you create the unsigned, maybe raw is a better name, because you're not simply creating something that's not signed that you're going to sign. You're creating something in a completely different format. You're creating the hashable transaction. You're not creating the signable, because you can't directly sign it. You'd have to parse it, take it apart, put it back together. So normally when we say something that is unsigned, it's the same thing that's signed, except that it's not signed. So you take the same data, you sign it, and you pin the signature at the end. But in this case, it's a completely different data structure. Yes, they're very similar, but they're completely different, because the signature in this case actually goes rather, what I would think they would do, especially because they have this input, output, I would think it'd be inputs, outputs, signatures, but instead it's inputs, signed inputs, unsigned inputs, and signed inputs. So, it's not, so it's I don't know how I'm saying more than what I've said. Okay. So, from the create raw, I was thinking about doing the hashes beforehand, but I'm not sure I really want to do that. So I have the create hash function. So I think I'm just going to have a hash function here, and then this hash function is going to be, so I'm going to go up here. Let's see. Oh, and my audio is really low, isn't it? Oops, let me fix that real quick. Sorry. I actually need to just boost the audio here on this one, because if I turn it up too high, I notice that I get a lot of noise. And so I want to boost the audio. I want to take it above 0 dB, probably by about 12. Let's see if we can do this. It's getting louder. It's getting louder. Alright, when I'm... Okay, it's getting louder. It's getting louder. It's still getting louder. I think maybe 18 dB. So when I'm speaking normally, we should be a little below -12. And when I'm getting loud, we should be peaking right up there. Okay, so when I'm speaking normally, we're right around -15. That's good. And then when I'm getting louder, we're getting kind of close there. So I'm going to stick with 16 dB. Let's go 16. 16, looking good. Louder. No, we can go 16 and a half, 17 maybe. Louder. 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 Okay, and we need to put a limiter on this now. Let me just put a filter on this real quick. So we've got a limiter. Filters. Add, because I forgot to add this together. So just add a generic compressor. Add a generic limiter. And I don't like putting the noise gate on there. Okay. Ha 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 ha! Louder! Louder! Ha 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 ha! Let's see. Ha 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 ha! Well, I don't know. You'll have to let me know how that goes. I'll have to listen to the stream and see how that sounds. But anyway, oh, and you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to open up the chat. So let me open up the chat real quick. Okay, sounds better? Alright, yeah, y'all let me know how it sounds. I'm reading on the very teeny tiny preview chat rather than the large chat because I forgot to open up the large chat. But yeah, let me know how that sounds. And then the audio, the video is good today, so I have a much stronger bandwidth connection today than I did when I was in the craft room. So we should not have choppy video this time. Anyway, I've already wasted half my time because this is going to have to be a short one, so let me go ahead and continue here. So we're going to have let crypto equals crypto. We're just going to... or require node crypto. Now this one's tricksy because what we actually need to do here is... okay. So what we actually need to do is this. So I need to create a shims folder, call it crypto.js, and then here we need to have require node crypto is module.exports, and then we're going to need a, well actually that we'll need to have node crypto, sorry, that will need to be node crypto. We'll have to have browser crypto. So silly. Module.exports equals window.crypto. So it's one of those silly things that you just have to do because stupid package managers don't prioritize JavaScript because they come from the heritage of transpiling. So when something just natively works in JavaScript and it's only been around for a couple of years, you know, they just don't know how to handle it. So here, we need browser, and then we're going to put in all the things, index.js. I think is what it is, right? Index. Hold on. No. Dash tx.js. So I think it's like this, and then we have to do shims node crypto.js, shims browser crypto.js, so that, you know, so we can export the exact same module. All right, so if I go back into this, hey, what's up, Elon? Holiday's been going well. By the way, so I want to distinguish, this is something I've been thinking about, this is totally tangential, but there needs to be a way to distinguish between Coca-Cola Santa Claus and Glory to the Newborn King. Because, well, first of all, it's just really weird. Somebody pointed this out to me, and I thought, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, we don't go up to someone who celebrates Kwanzaa, if we don't celebrate Kwanzaa, we don't say, Happy Non-Denominational High Spirits Day. You know? You'd give that person the finger, right? They're mocking. They're mocking that person's religious holiday. So you just give them the finger and walk away. Or maybe if you're a little more spiritually enlightened, you'd do something other than give them the finger. But, you know, it's just kind of, it's rude, right? It's rude. And same thing, if somebody celebrates Ramadan, you don't celebrate Ramadan, you can still say Happy Ramadan, or, you know, I guess that's not really the right thing, because Ramadan is some sort of war or something. I think some of the Jewish and Muslim holidays are ones that are quite bloody. But, you know, of course, I suppose there's a lot of things in the Catholic tradition that are quite bloody. And it's distinguished between Catholic and Christian because I believe that many if not most Catholics are Christian, but the government of Catholicism does not follow the governance set forth by Christ. Anyway. But yeah, so I'm not taking any offense to you saying holidays rather than Christmas, because there's just one holiday. I mean, I guess the Jews also have Passover or something. But anyway, it's not. It's just we need to as Christians, those of us who are Christian, we need a way to take the celebration of Christ back. And Christmas has become this generic, neutered term that means, you know, Coca-Cola, Santa Claus, and chocolates. And I'd just be as happy to, you know, all the present stuff, the tree, you know, none of that has anything to do with glory to the newborn king. Anyway, so I don't know the answer is, but that's just something I was thinking on. Okay, why is this not working out for me? The Dash TX, that's not there. So hold on, where's my, is it message TX or just TXJS? Okay, all right, let me go back here. Yeah, I think I want to rename that to Dash TX. So TXJS, I don't have to replay this history on it. We'll just go with it for now. I thought that in America there's a week or two of holidays during this time. No, not really. There's just Christmas. And there's New Year's. So I mean, you could say, well, if you lump Christmas and New Year's together, then you could say it's holidays. But no, it's kind of it's part of the anti-Christian movement. Really, is the way that I see it. I think that Coca-Cola just capitalized on general paganism, because Christmas is a pagan holiday. It is not a Christian holiday. It is named Christmas, which sounds like a Christian holiday's name, but it's a pagan holiday, because Christmas is the celebration of the winter solstice. And so nothing against pagans, but it's a pagan holiday. Just like Easter is a pagan holiday. And no, that's when Easter is when the Passover is. Sorry. But Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, or I don't really, people make fun of it more often, you know, in songs and stuff than I don't know if I've ever had opportunity to say Happy Hanukkah or Happy Kwanzaa or whatever it is to somebody, so I don't actually know the names of them. Or when they are. But yeah, school doesn't break for Hanukkah. But yeah, Christmas has traditionally been a pagan holiday. The day that we celebrate Christmas is pagan. It's not Christian. Although some theorize that it may actually be close to the birthday of Christ. Anyway, let me go and figure this out. Okay, we got that one. Good. So this one, actually, I need to go ahead and just set this up right. Wire tx.js. Okay, so now that's correct. Okay, let me run this again. Crypto is not defined right. Righto. Okay, so now we're going to do exports.crypto. Or crypto. Crypto is defined but never used, not a problem. Okay, so this is where we do the double hash. And I need to see, I'm pretty sure I did this in Dash site. So I'm just going to go look in Dash site and check this out. Oops, what did I do wrong? Dash I is what it's looking for there. Okay. That's not right. Where's... Oh. Okay, well, let's look all around here, because there's definitely some place where I got Mountain Dew on my keyboard. My fingers are slightly sticky there. Okay. Where is the browser hash? So let me look for, instead of that, let me look for crypto.subtle. Okay, crypto subtle digest. Here we go. Wow, that's weird. Here we go. This is the one I'm looking for. Whoops. There's a hash, and I can do crypto.subtle.digest just right here. It should be fine. And this is going to be async. And then we do need the buffer. So we're going to need new uint8 array, and this should be of size 256, size 32, I think. We do let u8 equals, and I don't think I actually want, I think we want to hash the hex, and then we're going to do sig hash type there as well. TXX. So there's a difference between the hash signed and hash unsigned. Hash signable, maybe. We could do create signable and create sign. I don't know. I made a little note somewhere. I don't remember where I put it, but basically the process that we need to have. There's something where I might accept dependency injection, where you put in a function that does the things you need. Let's see. So we got the u8.buffer. Oh. Is it array buffer? Is this how we need to do it? No? Hold on, let me go look at the other one real quick. What do we do there? Okay, so this is an array buffer. Got it. That returns an array buffer. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It makes a copy. Oh, crapola. So we have to go from tx hex to bytes. So we need to do tx hex dot length divided by 2. That's our u8. That makes more sense now. All right, I'm catching up with the times, y'all. Buffer does not exist on type any. Oh, whoops. New array buffer. Sorry. No. uint8 array. There we are. Unexpected token, comma, where? Oh, oops. Something got double pasted there. Okay. So we have this, and then we need to go byte by byte and read that in. So the same function we have here, reverse hex, we might want to do similar and do hex to bytes. Hex to u8. And so I put in the hex, and then I could do let u8 array equals, no, let u8 equals u8 array hex dot length divided by 2. forward on this one, so we can do plus equals to greater than x dot weight 0. Is greater than or equal to? No. Alright, so I'm going to start at 0. It's going to go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And then it lands on the last byte. Okay, so then we're going to have U8 I equals parse int hex slice 16. Like this. Okay, and then we're going to do, we're just going to return the U8 when it's done. Okay. I don't remember what this was about. Oh, right. This should be EX. There we are. Hey everybody, how's it going? Merry Kwanzaa Hanukkah. See, that's being jovial. That's being silly. Not actually trying to offend anyone. So I could say Merry Kwanzaa Hanukkah. Not trying to deny anyone their thing. Just being silly. But I feel like, well, Season's Greetings is a slap in the face. Because it's like making a point to let you know that I'm not going to say the holiday that we both know is the holy day. I know that people generally don't say it mean-spirited. The people that use it generally not mean-spirited. They're generally confused because they don't know what to say. But I like, oh, anyway, back to what the one guy said. He said, if you're not sure whether or not someone observes a holiday, just tell them to have a great day. that's nailed it. If you know it's a religious holiday, but you don't know if the person observes it, just tell them to have a great day. Just like you normally would on other days. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your break. Okay. So this should be good. Let's go ahead and test this. So we're going to add this to our little tx.test. Alright. Tx dot. Now we could make something pretty good here. So expected bytes equals, we'll do 00 ff, I don't know, 0f f0, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then we could probably just do the same thing again. And then we do hex to U8. Console.log. And I'm just going to throw in here process.exit. And I make it process exit 1 because if I don't remove this, then the other tests don't run. So obviously it's wrong. Okay, so oh, and this one would have to be awaited. So now this whole thing needs to get wrapped. Oops. So, Bahumbarg. Well, let's see. We should do function main. Alright, so we won't get to the signing today, but we'll just check if these bytes are the expected bytes and then do the hash, and then we should be good. Okay. Go ahead and put all this in there. Whoops. Basically, you just want to exit 0, console.log. Pass. What's up? Okay, you run to the store. Don't crash. Come back. I love you too. Alright. And again, I'm not intentionally regrowing the beard. For those of you that notice, I got a little dirt on my face. Rather, I temporarily misplaced my shaver, and then I ordered another one used, and it has been temporarily misplaced by the Postal Service. And there's no way that well, there is a way in which I pay $200 for a new shaver, but I'd have to have this happen maybe again, because at worst what's going to happen is I'm just gonna get refunded my money and then have to wait another week, and by then I'll have a beard, a full beard. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this test. Okay, something went wrong. Cannot find module shims crypto. Great. Let's figure out where that went wrong. Oh, right. I know why that went wrong, because we didn't call it crypto. We called it shims node crypto. Oh, bless me. So that we can distinguish between node crypto and browser crypto very easily. All right, to variant size is not defined. To variant size. Oh, whoops. So we're just gonna throw all this down here. And just plop it into here. There we go. And I'll worry about that later. Okay, cool. So, great. Exactly what I was hoping for. Nonsense. So, let's see. What do we need to do to fix this function? There's a couple of things that can go wrong here. Let's see. X2U8. What did I do wrong? U8 array. X.length divided by 2. That should be fine. Okay, what about this? Parse int. Let's see. H equals. This is what I should have done anyway. So H equals this. B equals this. I still forget my own rules. One operation per line. Console.log HB. Okay, so this should be right. We should be doing. Okay, something went wrong there because this was never executed. Why was this never executed? So hex2u8. That in of itself. Did I get confused about something? Hex2u8. That in of itself is not actually async. Not that that matters. Okay. Okay. Oh, whoops, less than. There we go. My bad. Okay, that starts to look a little bit better. Okay. Oh, but I've got another off by one here, it looks like. We're off by some. Alright, so what we have here... bother. That index equals 0. Index plus equals 1. Index. Because we actually have 2 counters here. And I guess we could do... Okay, this, I don't recommend doing this. You can technically do this. Okay? So you can... This is valid. But I don't recommend doing that. In fact, when it even gets this complicated, I'd recommend just pulling the whole thing out and then just have it be a for loop so that you realize, okay, there's some complex conditionals here and you don't get duped by, oh, there's a conditional right there. I don't need to worry about anything. So, let's see. Okay. So if I is greater than or equal to this, break. There we go. So now, see, I much prefer this to expanding, to just having confusing semantics around for. Because if you just have, if you just have essentially this is while true. I don't like to use while because it's just one more thing to learn, and why less syntax is better. Not less syntax per se, but smaller language is better. Superfluous, similar, but nuanced differences, just get them out of here. Hey, good morning, Z3. What's up? When will the Dash Wallet series end? Well, we're going to take a break from it soon-ish. So I was going to be working on something else during the break, but Ryan strong-armed me. That's not quite it. But, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take a break from it soonish. So we're going to wrap up this transaction stuff. We're going to get everything that is currently working in the browser. And that's going to be a major pause point. Because at that point, it's just Jojo Byte needs to catch up on some things. And I think I'm going to take a pause at that point. I could be wrong, but I think that that's when this is going to be over. Because the goal is that we should have a wallet that runs in the browser. And then we'll resume and add more features to the wallet. We'll hopefully get the wallet integrated into the iPhone and Android apps, or create separate prototype iPhone and Android apps that partially use web views. We'll see how things go. Anyway, all right, now this should work again. Let's check and see. Okay, does this look more right? This looks correct. Okay, so I think we nailed it this time. So, And a quick reminder from me to you. Oh, wow, now I got to move my hand all the way over here. Before it was over here, but the other camera's over there more. Anyway, like, sub, follow if you want to. If you want to. And join the Discord if you want to. Not trying to tell you how to live your life unless we're talking about code, in which case I'm definitely trying to tell you how to live your life. Remember, smaller language, better language. Okay, I don't need that there. I would break this down. I'm going to break this down into 3 pieces. We've got our initialization, we've got our continuation condition, and then we've got our post evaluation condition. I always forget what the formal names for the 3 parts of the for loop are. I think the first one is initialization. I think the second one is something like condition. The third one, but it's not increment, because it's not that you're incrementing. It's the post evaluation update or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So we're looking good here. I like it. So let's just go ahead and see what we can do with this. So TX All right, so we're not doing much with TX. All right, the hash function we haven't tested yet. So let's get the hash function tested, and then we'll move on. Okay, so hash. All right, and then what we're going to do here is tx.utils. Hex to U8. Okay, so if sig hash type, and I got to figure out what we want this to be. I think we just want it to be the hex. At param string tx hex at param string sig hash type. Typically none for signed, typically a 1 for signable. Unsigned or signed or signed TXX. And then I might want to break this down into two as well. We'll see. Anyway, so here what we're going to do is we're going to add onto this. Actually, I'd prefer to do it this way. There we go. Okay, and then from that, we're going to create the U8. And then from that, we're going to create the digest. And I think that we actually want to go back to hex on that digest. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to go back to hex on the digest. Okay, good. One operation per line. This is going to be what? Hash U8 is going to be a byte and then the index, but I don't think we need the index. I think we just need the byte. So byte dot to string 16 dot pad start to 0 and then let hash hex equals this. And then this is going to be let h equals, and then hash hex dot push h, and then return hash hex dot h. Now this is kind of a performance thing. That may or may not matter. Oh, come on. You cannot tell me that you don't know what type this is, except that you can because you do. Yeah, array string. Hold on, let me finish this. There we go. So this is kind of a performance thing. If you add to an array, for this small of a string, it's probably 6s. In fact, maybe the array method is slower. But when you add to a string, you're creating an a potentially n squared copy operation. So you don't know what the underlying implementation of the string is. That's not, I don't think that's formally specified, and it shouldn't be. But if I would imagine that in modern JavaScript engines, that arrays or that strings are implemented in such a way that increasing their length is pretty efficient. But so maybe this doesn't matter at all. Maybe the naive way is the better way to approach it. I don't really know. But with an array, it's in theory and at least at some points in time in practice, it is better to create an array and join it to be a string rather than to have a string and keep adding characters onto it, because when JavaScript creates a new string, it copies the entire old string into a new string space to add the extra character onto it. Now, the JIT optimization, I'm going to guess that it probably just reserves some extra space for the string size. Well, with arrays, you know it's going to reserve extra space, because with arrays, or you don't know for certain because the implementation could be wonky, for example, Internet Explorer 6 back in those days. But it makes a lot of sense that if somebody creates an array, it's because there's a potential they're going to add to it. So you reserve more space for the array than you're actually going to use when you initialize it. And then it's easy to grow the size of the array. Plus you can just have pointers to things on the heap. But with the string, because you're changing the size of it when you concatenate it, and that's not generally, because strings are immutable in JavaScript. That's weird, but they are. They're the only thing that you can actually make a constant. Well, I guess you could make a Boolean constant too. Anyway, but what was I saying? The string, yeah, it's better to put a bunch of mini strings in an array than it is to concatenate onto the end of a string, because of the number of copies that it forces it to do in the naive, unoptimized implementation. That's all I'm saying. With the JIT optimizer, maybe they're exactly the same. Okay, so we got this one, and then we're gonna hash this, but we need to reverse this as well. So, I kind of want to say, maybe hex 28 reversed. Because I actually don't know if we have the use case for this. I might just comment this out. I think we have the use case for the other. Okay, so we're actually going to go back to, what was that other one? Hex reverse or reverse hex. So let me go back to the way that this one was done, and we break this apart again. Okay, so I is going to be hex.length. Index is going to be hex dot, so let's say I minus 2. Now we'll go with hex.length minus 2. And for this, we're going to break when it's less than or equal to 0. And then, yeah, that's still plus 2, no matter whether we're going forwards or backwards. But this becomes minus 2. And this becomes... Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let's just back the truck up here. The only thing that we actually need to change on this is that the index starts at u8.length. And then the index is minus 1. There we go. That's all we need to change. Now, from the perspective of the JIT optimizer, it would probably be better, it's hard to say, but it's generally going to expect you to go forwards, not backwards. So here, I'm saying, okay, well, we'll count the hex forwards, but we'll insert it backwards. would probably be, this is just a guess, in a lot of the tests, it's completely random because you can run the same test a couple of times with other code around, and based on what the other code's doing, the JIT optimizer is going to make other choices on the code that you're actually looking at. And we don't really need to optimize this, it's just kind of fun to think about. But if I wanted to performance tune this, I would actually try it both ways. I would try counting the string up, counting the bytes up and the string down, and I would also try counting what that we have here, which is counting the string up and the bytes down, if we want to reverse something. I'd also try just doing string operations, split a string on every second character and join it. I would try a bunch of things if I wanted to performance tune it, because depending on what you're targeting, you could get weird results, like the string being faster than the byte operations, because the JIT optimizer, whatever it's tuned to do, whatever it thinks this is what's most common, that's what's going to be the most optimal. Okay, so we got that one done. Hash. Okay. Oh wait, no, that makes sense. Sorry. This one. This is the one. Okay, so never mind. I had it right the first time. That's all we need to do here. Is we need to reverse and then join these. So we don't need that reverse function after all. Okay, cool. Well, that's great. Okay, now if I could find a reference. Let me see. Where was that one? This one. Let's see if they have where it has the TXID in here. Generate raw transaction. So TXID should be based on what our SIG hash type is. So let's see if we get this SIG hash type. Oh, and also another thing I forgot to do is that this happens twice. So we're going to take this array buffer and then we're going to hash it again. So we have a double hash here. Okay, so I don't know that we have a reference for what this is supposed to be like. But we'll just try it out here. So I'm just gonna, it would be nice to formally test this, but alright, so this is expected. I'm going to change this to expected raw TX. Result raw TX. Result raw. Expected raw. And then I probably should put the raw at the end rather than in the middle, but I'm just going to go with it for right now. This is vanilla.js. Yes, this is both Node and browser compatible. That's what I'm working on here. So this should work, and this should be. The idea here is we have this Dash core lib that is a decade old, and it has so many shims for things that did not work in JavaScript at the time, even things that didn't work in Node flavored JavaScript at the time. Now, almost everything after 10 years, almost everything can be done in vanilla.js. And a lot of the parts of the specification that were specified aren't actually used in practice. And so we don't need to re-implement every possible way to do every single thing. And when we do, it's better, like I said before, a little copying is better than a little dependency. It's often better, simple is better than complex, complex is better than complicated. It is less complicated. The more branching statements you have inside of a function, the more variety it can handle, the more complicated your code is. If you can create two functions that are similar, but that handle the cases discretely and well with fewer branches, your code's less complicated, it's easier to read, it's easier to debug, it's easier to fix. You just have to make the trade-off of, if the functions are similar and something core about one function needs to change, does it or does it not need to change in the other function. But duplicating code intentionally, duplicating code with prudence, there's nothing bad about that. You don't want to just duplicate code all over the place when you're doing the same thing. But when you're doing things that are different in nuanced ways, it's often easier to spot the nuance when the functions are separate rather than when they have just 10 different branches inside of them to try to make them work the same way. Okay, so we got this, and then I'm going to have the tx.hash result raw tx 01. And then we're going to do let signable tx equals like this. And the real way to know whether or not we get this right, well, no, we should be able to tell from what we're doing here, because if nothing else, let's see. If nothing else, the signatures are back in the original. Okay, so here we've got this. That does not look right at all. That looks very, very wrong. Okay, something went very, very wrong here. Let me go ahead and go back into that. Take a look. No problem. Welcome to the channel. Alright, hex reverse, hash. Hash U8. Oh, wait. Oh, dang it. U8.buffer. I might need to do the opposite. Because in Node, when you use U8.buffer, sometimes you get weird stuff. It's not intended to use the buffer raw. Let me see if this gripes too badly. Okay, this looks a lot better. All right, let's see if we can figure out from this what the sig hash type is. TXID. Yeah. Script pub key. Okay, that's not the top post. Raw transaction. Details about the unsigned transaction. Sequence, TXID. Okay. So one of the issues here is he's going to get a different signed raw transaction than we are, because he's got a different private key, and I don't know if he lists the private key. Create raw transaction. Let's see. Oh, maybe he does. Sign raw transaction. Okay, so he does put the private key here. But then I'd have to go modify everything to work for Bitcoin rather than to work for Dash, and I don't really want to deal with that. But the hash should come out the same. So sign raw transaction, TXID. So I don't know if I have a reference for whether or not this is correct. Well, look, here's how we find out. We sign it, and we broadcast it. And we see if it works. So I just put a small amount of, I create a transaction for a small amount of money, sign it and broadcast it. Okay, so in order to do the signing, where was I last doing signing? What was the last component of this? Was what, Dash HD? Are we signing in Dash HD for anything? I don't think so. Maybe Dash keys? Dash keys. Let's look for sign. Assign, no. I think for the wallet, what is this? For the wallet, what was it? Did we have Noble? No. Sec P. Okay. So it isn't Dash keys. Do we not sign here? Sec P. Random bytes. Okay, random key generate. Kit public key. We didn't do the signing. Alright, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to do the signing. Okay, sec P226K1 Noble. Signature. Okay. So we need to convert something to a private key and then do the signing. Oops, not here. I wonder if I can find, maybe I can find a test case. I'd like to find a test case somewhere. For example, in Dash Core Lib. Let me see if I can find Dash Core Lib. Do we have a test? Transaction hash, maybe sig hash. I'd like to find a test case for the hash, just the hash, to make sure that I got the hash right. That if I use both hash functions for TX, that I end up with the same result. Right. Nin, what is nin? In hash type subscript TX. That doesn't look right. Maybe in the Go code. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to find... Well, we could be optimistic about it. We can just get to the point where we sign the transaction and broadcast it, you know, for a millidash or microdash or something. And then if it doesn't work, then we have to dig deeper to figure out what went wrong and where. But I do, before I go any further, I need to document this right here. Wait, what did I have in my, that thing, okay. So right now, we don't know whether this is right or wrong, but we do know what we got. Seems a little awkward that there's 3 F's at the end. No, that's just random. It's hard to tell randomness from, you know, a pattern. In true randomness, there will be patterns. Okay. Then tx.js. Okay, let me catch up on the chat here. Yeah, so all right, let's talk about this for a second. So sorry, I didn't see your question earlier, but I'm going to probably go in reverse order because I saw this first. As a new coder, and Josh, this might make a good clip. As a new coder, naming my variables feels harder than the code itself. Yes and no. Naming the variables is difficult because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to describe what you're doing. And some of that is because you lack the vocabulary, because you've done this so few times, you don't know what the names of things are. And some of that requires some research. Or if you want to, you could use the Discord. You know, there's a link to the Discord that shows up right here every 15 minutes or so. So that'll, it looks like it's one of the last messages right there. Yeah. So if you want to take that link to the Discord, you can join the Discord and feel free to pop in. You know, what should I name this? Naming things is important. I've talked about it before. It's billable time. So you want to take the time to name things. What you really don't want to do is name things. It's in some ways it's better to name something temp 1 and temp 2 than it is to give it the wrong name, meaning a misleading name, a name that already exists for something else. This is something we fight a lot in code because you find out later that there's already a standard name for this thing and it's slightly different from what you called it. And in the standard, the thing that you called it is actually the sub thing of that thing. You know, for example, when I'm looking at this stuff and there is there's the sig hash, there's the TX signature, there's the script signature, you know, so there's these things that sound the same that are, it'd be worse to use the wrong one, to accidentally call the script sig a TX sig or something like that, than to just not call it at all. To just call it generic sig, for example, because then at least that works for anything. You don't know what thing it is. But yeah, naming things is challenging. And a lot of the times when you don't know what to name something, it's because, not necessarily just because you're not familiar with it, but it's because you haven't broken it down small enough. So as a general rule that you break a few times a day, but not 100 times a day, as a general rule, you shouldn't put comments in code. You should name things better. You should break things down. So you've seen me do this maybe while you've been watching. My rule is 1 operation per line. So let me go to one of these, right? So here's an example of this. Rather than having a for constructor that has, I could put everything in my for condition or constructor or whatever you want to call that. I could put everything in there. I don't actually know the formal name of what goes inside of this. I'm calling it the for constructor. That might be wrong. Naming things is hard. Okay. But rather than put in everything inside of there, which I could do, all the initialization conditions and post conditions, I decided to break it apart. So there's 1 operation per line. And if it could fit in the standard for format without using little clever hacks that you have in JavaScript, like having a comma for 2 initializers and 2 of the other thing, then I would love to do there. But I actually prefer this format anyway. I think we shouldn't have for loops. I think for loops should be done away with. Meaning it should just be a loop. It should just be a loop, and you should just explicitly write out what your conditions are where you need them. Because it's not really that much. You don't gain much by putting it inside of here. It's just harder to read. Anyway, but you know, I had this all together as one thing. I think all three of these operations were on one line. It's difficult to read. And so I broke it down onto each line. So here's my hex byte, which I called H because it's the hex byte. That makes sense. Here's the UNT8 byte, which I called B because that's a byte. And then I take my U8 buffer and I assign B to the index. And then here I have I, which is my counter for the hex index. And then I have index, which is my counter for the buffer index. Now, you know, maybe I could call it HI and BI. Maybe that would be a better name. I'm not really sure. I'm open to suggestion on that if somebody were to say, hey, this is confusing. I'm totally open to changing it. I'm not married to it at all. But, because I have two indexes. And maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do hex index and then buff index. And then, you know, we have buff index, hex index, hex index. But then I feel like for some of these, it gets a little bit long. So that's why I kind of had it the way that I had it before. And I'm looping over, I'm not looping over the buffer, I'm looping over the hex, and that's why I use the shorter term. So go to creedsofcraftsmanship.com and check out Dave Cheney's, he's got a 3-hour workshop right here. So Dave Cheney on software engineering, he's talking about Go, but it's a good talk. So I'm going to go ahead and just link this in here as well. So let me get Creeds in there and the other one here. I forget what that was. Is it this one? Yeah, there it is. So there's that, and then specifically Dave Cheney. He breaks a lot of this stuff down and talks about it better, you know, more succinctly. In his 3-hour presentation, he is more succinct than I am. So there's a lot of hard hitters in there. Really good stuff. Okay, so quick question. I'm going to go back and then I'm going to go forward. Imagine if I spread a useState variable, does the spread variable point to the same location index as the original unspread variable? Personally, I don't use the spread operator because I find its semantics to be confusing, and you could just use the index and you're perfectly fine. But in JavaScript, everything is copy by reference, almost everything. There's a few exceptions to that, but they're kind of weird edge cases, and we don't really want to worry about them. So in JavaScript, you could just say that everything is copy by reference. So the variable points to the same thing as the one that is in the array, but when you modify either of them, it's not going to modify the other because when you've spread it, you've created a copy of it. And if it's a string, if it's something that can be immutable in JavaScript, like a string or a Boolean, then at that point, or a number, at that point you've created a copy of it. And so if you modify the reference to it, then you will just get a copy of it. So I'm imagining that under the hood it's implemented as what's known as copy on write, which is that while you have the two references, they're just references, but the moment that you modify either reference, it makes a copy for the one that you modified. That's my guess of how it's implemented under the hood. Yeah, the for loop is just the basic loop, and so I just kind of wish we did it like this. We just did loop, and that's it, and we never did while or do while or for, because it's just more for your brain to handle for things that don't matter, and that it's not better or worse. It's just different, you know. And people get so hung up on it. Wait, is it a do while, or is it while do, or is it for? Is it? And it's just get rid of all of that. It's too much mental burden for people. It's just a bunch of computer science nonsense. It doesn't really help with anyone's understanding. It just is more, like I said, it's more mental burden. So yeah, I say this is the best you can do in JavaScript, and then just make everything explicit and put it on its own line, and then when you read through it, the conditions are all clear. You don't have to second guess yourself. You know, because the compiler is going to optimize away a lot of stuff. Now, granted, if you do put those things in the loop, there are some optimizations that are in the construction of the, what's that called? The for expression. If you do put that in there, there are some things that the optimizer can do that I don't think it can do when you lift them out like this. But for the most part, you know, the compiler is going to optimize it the same way no matter how you construct it, whether you do a for or a while or do while or while do or a while true, you know, whatever it is that you do, it's all going to end up being the same machine instructions at the end of the day. So I think just learn one way to do it and then just write your code the way that it ought to be written, and then let the optimizer figure out the tidbits for you, because, you know, whatever. All right, you'll check it out. That's good. Thanks for the answer. In my case, I spread a nested JSON object and updated the object inside that JSON, which also updated the whole JSON instead of just my inner object. I'm trying to think of why that would be. That doesn't sound reasonable, but this is my rule for the spread operator. Spread operators only get used at the function level. There's only two places they can get used, and only use them one level deep. Never do nested spread operations. It's too confusing. Nobody can understand what that means. And the people who can, I really don't care that they can. That just one instruction per line. One instruction per line. Do one thing per line of code. Very rarely. I mean, okay, so there's here, I'm actually doing two things in this one line of code. So I'm violating my rule. Because what I would do, if I was only going to do one thing per line, then we would do this. Like that. And I'm fine doing that. I'll leave it this way. But this one, this doesn't bother me. This is a really tiny, tiny, tiny one, right? But, you know, is this a little more readable? Is it a little bit easier to figure out? Sure. I think that it's kind of... I think the other one is equally readable, maybe, but yeah. But just try to do one thing per line. Now this one I'm going to give myself a pass on, because otherwise, you know, this is technically, this is doing two things per line. Okay, all right, I won't give myself a pass on it. So let last index, no, last I equals. I don't know how I want to do it. Last I doesn't look quite right. Okay, there we go. Plus, I don't need to do that calculation every iteration of the loop. Okay, there we go. This one I'm just going to stick with, because this one, it would be, I think it would be more confusing to pull that operation out than it is to leave it there. One thing per line, one thing per line. So I'm violating the principle of one thing per line here and here only. So anyway, okay, let me get back to the task at hand, which was to see if we can figure out how to sign this thing. Okay. Yeah, sorry, English not my first language. Tried my best. Yep, that's fine. I do my best to understand it. Breaking my head, trying to understand my own code. Yep. So just do follow. I mean, there's the so you need to get familiar with the creeds of craftsmanship, and I might actually add axioms of AJ onto here. I think I will. I think I'm just going to go ahead and add the axioms of AJ onto here as well, because they're becoming mature to a point where I think that they are worth. I don't like the name of it as Axioms of AJ. But these are my axioms. I think number one needs to be, if it sounds cool, don't do it. Oops, hold on. I think that's my wife calling me. I might have to go. I might have to end this. Yes? Okay, love you. Bye. All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go here in a couple minutes. But anyway, you should be familiar with yeah, I'm gonna say, you know, let's break this down into Zen. Wait. And then no, what? There we go. Costume trophy. Let me go ahead and fix that little last thing. There. But you should be familiar with all of these Zen. Unix philosophy, Zen of Python, Go Proverbs, Zen of Z, Axiom of Z, AJ. I'm gonna put it on there. I need to give it a better name, so it's not just Axioms of AJ, but I might call it Axioms of GPT script. Because that's what I'm renaming AJ script. I'm renaming it to GPT script with the idea that AI should be able to code better in GPT script because it's a smaller language with fewer constructs, therefore more repeated patterns, therefore better statistical analysis. What's up, Froz? How you doing? Froz man. That was a little forced, sorry. I wanted to try it out, but it came off weird. Not very me. All right, so that signing bit. Where was I at with that sec p thing? Did I already paste that? Yeah, somewhere. I don't know. I need to go back in time to a more civilized scroll. Dang it. Let me go back to, where was it? Dash keys. It wasn't dash keys. All right, there we go. So we're going back to TX here. Crypto. Actually, I don't want to have the signing in this. That's right. Let's get rid of that. I don't want the signing to be in there because then it bloats the dependencies. The signing should happen tangentially, should be part of utils, whatever, but it shouldn't actually be in there. But we need to test the signing. We're at that point. Okay. All right, so I need to get the private key for the thing I've been working with, which I don't have the private key for this thing, but that's okay. Let's just get the signing working with any key, and that'll be better than no key, right? Where was the stuff I need to sign here? Okay, random private key. Sure, we'll use this for now. That'll be fine. We need to then have our random gen or whatever. So let's do let this one. Yeah. Wait. Let's say equals. And we'll see if we get this in the right format. Okay, but where was I before? I was up in this one. Do we have util random bytes? Okay, so we need to put random bytes in here. We'll go ahead and grab that. So that's just one of the things we need to initialize this with. So this is the pattern that I'm copying from. I think he just did a great job here. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to ignore that for the second. But yeah, I think the way this guy did it, where there's utils and some of the utils are provided and some of the utils you have to provide, I think that's a great pattern for avoiding dependency on stupid things. Just say, hey, provide the function that does this for the environment that you need it in. All right, sig is defined but never used. Console.log. Let's see what a sig looks like. Well, first we need to figure out how to use the sig to sign. So sign message hash and private key. So let's take a look. The message hash in this case is going to be I'm guessing that they want this in byte form. Message hash, yeah. So it should be U8. Okay. So result raw tx buff and then priv key is what we're going to have this. So to get result raw tx buff, we're going to need that util. We're going to need let this equals, and then maybe I should provide it as, let's see, I have to think about this. No. Wait, where am I going with this? I skipped something. We had this, expected bytes. We had that, okay, that's fine. Where, I missed something somewhere. Where did the bit that I just created go? Did I just delete it by mistake? Oh no, right here. Signable TX. Okay. So I think maybe I do need to have that hash. So I need to reverse the hash. I need to create a new buffer, reverse the hash, and then provide that buffer as the result. Well, it depends. If I need to sign it, yeah, this is what I need. I need two different functions for this. I need two different signing functions. One that returns the buffer because it's what you're going to sign and you need the buffer to sign. And the other one that returns the hex because you're not going to sign it, you're just going to use it as a TXID and you're going to send it across the wire. So yeah, so that issue is settled. I actually do need a hash, basically a get TXID and a get signable hash. Okay. And then we still could use this hex to U8. Alright. Signable TX buff. Alright. Let's see, doing good. That was the cringiest welcome ever. Have to respond in kind with a cringy joke. What do you call an anime-obsessed coder? Well, because you said it's a cringy joke, I'm going to have to deny setting myself up for more cringe on the channel, but I am curious. What do you call an anime-obsessed coder? If it's too cringy, I'm not going to be there. It's too a little weird. But let's see. And Animaniac. That seems like that would be the cliche, obvious one. All right, let's just see what this looks like, if it works at all. HMAC is not a function. Okay, so we need to fulfill the create HMAC. Create HMAC. But I don't want... Hold on. It shouldn't be doing any HMAC stuff because this is already the hash, right? So why would we need to create HMAC? Maybe it's too long, 32-byte message. Let me just do a couple of sanity checks here. And I'm going to have to leave abruptly in a few minutes because my wife's going to come back and she's going to get ready. I don't know if there's anything I need to get ready for. I just walk out the door, right? So I'm just going to have to say peace and be gone. Okay. All right. And remember, like, sub, follow if you want to. Discord link is there-ish. Should pop up there-ish. Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. I did just pop it recently. That's why I said like, sub, follow if you want it, because I saw it pop up. Duh. Because that's a reminder to me, to remind you. Okay. Signable TX. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, what was the problem? I wanna follow this down a little bit. Wait. HMAC SHA-256. Create HMAC is not a function. Oh no! Crypto.node. No! Oh, that's weird. Weird. Okay, is this utils? Import key. Why does it need this HMAC? Define properties. It looks like there's a bug in this. I could be wrong. Okay, what is it going back to? Reseed. Okay. So this is going back to reseed. So why is it HMAC DRBG? So, I mean, this is stuff we don't even need. Oh, I think I know what this is coming from, actually. So remember earlier, if you're watching previous streams, I said that depending on the implementation, the signature will be random every time. But a lot of implementations don't implement the random bit, so you do get the same signature. I think that this implements that random bit, so that every time you sign something, you get a different signature because there's just a little tiny bit of random data appended to the signature, or maybe it's half of the data. I don't actually recall. Okay. I think that's what's happening here. So 869. Let's take a look at it. On line 869, what have we got? What is Gerberg? What does this stand for? KMD to SIG, generate, finalize. Okay, I think it's time for me to go. Yep, it is. All right, well, I got to go, y'all. Thanks for joining in. I'll catch you later. We will figure out what's going on here so that we can sign. But until then, and then let's see if we can find somebody to raid real quick. Let's see who's on. Oh, we got a few people on that we might be able to raid. I have two shoes. RWX Rob. Raid RWX Rob. Okay, there we go. Well, everybody, see you later. Adios. And wait for the raid. It's coming just a second. stop. Oh, I gotta stop streaming. Stop recording.